Hey guys, this is Andrew with AndroidCentral.com, and this is the ASUS MeMO Pad HD7. So ASUS may best be known for, as of late, its 10-inch Transformer Pad series, as well as being the manufacturer for Google's Nexus 7 series, but it also has a nice range of mid-range tablets in the MeMO Pad lineup, and that's what we have here is the ASUS MeMO Pad HD7. I know that's a bit of a mouthful, but this tablet is targeted mainly at the low-end market. It's going to be hitting price points, ASUS says, of $129 for an 8 gig model and $149 for a 16 gig model. So that's drastically cheaper even than the original Nexus 7, and especially cheaper than the new Nexus 7. So an 8 gig model would be $100 less retail, which is a big deal. But they did cut the corners in all the right places, I guess you could say, in order to cheap down the cost. But in general, I just wanted to bring in the original Nexus 7 because the comparisons are pretty clear to make here. It's pretty much the same chassis as far as size goes, and thickness, and the bezels on the front and everything. It's all pretty much the same deal. Ports have moved around a little bit. You can even see that the speaker is in the same spot. So this really is kind of taking the original Nexus 7 and cheaping out on some of the internals a little bit more so that you can get a nice price to it. Quick walk around the hardware here. You see we have one that has a black front and they have different colors in the back. We have white. It's a hard plastic, no soft touch or anything like that. Feels a little hollow. That's mostly because it feels so light, but this back plate does create quite a lip. You can see down the edge there, it does create quite a lip. It does creak a little bit too, but again, at $129, $149, it's kind of hard to complain. Down around the sides here, we have a power and volume rocker. Buttons work just fine. They're in the same spot as the Nexus 7. Around the bottom, you have nothing, just an ASUS logo on the bezel. Around the other side, you have a micro SD card slot. That's nice to see, especially with the 8 gig model is going to be pretty tight. This 11 gig model, or the 16 gig model has about 11 gigs free after getting everything set up with a handful of apps. So that gives you a good idea how much space you'll have left over. Around the back, you have a camera here. Believe me, it's not going to be worth your time. In the front, another camera for video calls and things of the sort. On the screen front, we have this cranked up to max brightness, which might be a little bright, but we have a 1280 by 800 panel, very similar to what you saw in the Nexus 7, but you're not going to get that laminated look. It washes out a little bit easier at different angles, and it has an appreciable gap on the side. It's very hard to show on camera, of course, but yeah, we are looking at a lower quality display, but for the price and for what it is, it's actually really not that bad. On the inside though, we have an ASUS kind of an unspecified quad-core ARM A7 processor, a gig of RAM, like I said, 8 or 16 gigs of storage. So it's really not that bad considering the price point for the internals. All the performance and everything seems snappy. We're looking at Android 4.1 here. A couple of ASUS's little customization. They have these little quick launch apps and things you can have on the home screen. They have different options to launch into Google Now and things like that. But other than that, you're really looking at pretty much what you expect in most ASUS styling on tablets here. You have a custom settings menu and things like that, but really it's nothing out of the usual for ASUS's other MeMO Pad lineup. So for the price, kind of hard to complain. At $129, $149, it probably performs above that price class. but it's hard to recommend over the original Nexus 7, which has dipped down quite a bit in price if you can find one new or refurbished. As for the comparison to other low-end tablets, this is probably the best way to go in terms of bang for your buck in the budget class. So that is the ASUS MeMO Pad HD7. Thanks for taking a look.